All right, welcome back to another episode of Finding My Purpose with Jared. And this is the second week out from stage, and currently just had an accident where I severed my pinky in half, which is not the best, especially 2 weeks out from stage. This is 3 days back in the gym, and pretty much at this point in time, I was just like, because obviously the doctors can't get sweat in it, and obviously I can't use my hand, and it's go time at this point. So it was pretty dark and glim for me, but lucky I had the right man in the corner to push me along for the job. So what do you reckon about this stage?
Yeah. Look, James, obviously, it's easy when you're been through it, or you have the expertise like myself. You know what you can work with, you know what the foresight is, you know what the game plan is, and I guess this is James' first competition, so I guess the direction forward was already, something he didn't understand, let alone having an injury on top where the doctor's like, you can't train, you need to rest up, can't sweat. His future was like, well, it's all done and dusted. So after, a long 8 months, I'm going on 8 months by the time we get to the stage, where he's worked so hard to achieve his 71 kilo weight loss. He kind of hit a bit of a low, but I made him turn up. This is Monday, so this is 3 days post his accident, where he was ready to quit, pulling the towel, and I said, come on, you come with me, I'm going to train you every day this week, and I'm going to show you how you can train. So as you can see here, I'm handcuffing him to the cable, so that way he never leaves me.
Pretty much, you'll never leave.
But I'm just showing him a new way of training, you know what I mean? So the way we work over here is like, there's always, where there's a will, there's always a way. So we're going to show James in this session how he can actually train, and for the rest of the week ahead of us, we're showing James how to train exactly without using your hands. And something I try to to show James is like, people get on stages with wheelchairs, people go all the time with things. I'm like, this is just a part of your story, so use this as a story and build from it. And that's exactly what he's done. So he's got out of the little pity party phase, and he's got to work. And as you can see here, he's working. And we're also trying to manage the sweat whilst working. But
yeah, which is pretty funny. He got the leaf blower out at one stage. It was quite comical. You'll see probably in the shorts that I'll upload. And just blowing down the pinky finger and whatnot. And it's also been pretty hard because in my protocol or workout protocol, I've got an hour stepper and an hour treadmill plus hitting my 12,000 steps. And obviously we all know, if we've been on the stepper, that is quite hard to do with the sweat factor. So obviously as soon as I start sweating, I have to pull off and whatnot. So we've managed to get down to 30 minutes on the stepper, and then I come back to it later on in the afternoon. But explain for the people at home what we're doing in the second week leading up to stage.
Yeah, so I talk about prior to the injury happened. So prior to the injury happened, from 4 weeks out, we like to have our athletes in a position where in the workouts, it's not necessarily about progression as such. It's about, keeping the heart rate high, keeping the intensity high, but shorten the sessions so that way the intensity is high the whole time. Because at the end of the day, your fatigue's high, so trying to progress heavy in weight is not going to happen. So as you can see in this video, we've got cuffed cable presses. Obviously, we don't want James using a dumbbell or a barbell. We just don't want any risk on that finger. So we've cuffed his arm from the elbow up. And as you can see here, we're just taking a real slow tempo. The weight's relatively light, again, because you are on cuffs. You're not going to have the ability to do full stacks on these things, otherwise they'll rip apart. So we're focusing more on mechanical tension. So at the end of the day, when we look at progression in muscle mass, it's all about time under tension. So TUT is what we refer to. And as long as we're looking at 40 to 60 seconds, you can ensure that muscle is going to be under a fair significant amount of stress for that period of time. So for James in this situation, we're doing a lot of tempo work, we're doing lightweight, and we're sitting between 12 to 15 reps, which will hit that 60 seconds time under tension. So in this movement, because it is a shorter range of motion, because you're not having the forearm come into play to add that extra length on in its range of motion, we're focused on keeping the tempo nice and slow, so maximal stretch, so really driving that pec. Having that bench upright allows us to, one, stay supported, but also open up that chest and then be able to, really control that contraction phase and get that good squeeze at the top. As you would have seen at the start of that, I would have pushed his shoulders down. It's normal that most people will start to elevate in the trap. So keeping the shoulders depressed in this movement, and as you can see, driving through from the elbow. to be honest, you actually feel a lot more contraction because the range is shorter and you're not having to, balance the weight in the forearm. So here you can really just prime and shorten out the pec to its maximum range, which is quite new.
I definitely felt that in this exercise. Bit strange having straps around your biceps, I have to admit, but the chest pump I got from this was pretty insane. So I didn't expect that whatsoever. Just really hard to try and strap yourself up and get into that. So especially lucky you were there, because one hand banned it. Trying to get that done was definitely quite difficult in a sense.
Yeah, it's a little bit hard. Like I used to do cable work in the back of my prep and like crucifix raises and stuff like that. So you find it pretty hard to sort of unstrap, but if you have a bigger cable or like a cuff, you can kind of just like slide it on and off. But in this situation, we didn't want to have that sliding on and off for James because it could risk his finger getting hit, which we didn't want any further injury. But if you're just training by yourself and don't actually have any injury, you can actually put this into test and work yourself. You just slide that bench back a little bit further and then have a bigger cuff. That way you can slide it on and off easy. So you just, slide your arm in and out of the hole. So it's just easier to work on. But for this, we've got the cuff pretty tight, so you can actually just focus on the execution, not worry about slipping out.
Yeah, which was good.
Or falling off the bench.
Yeah, well, we're still, we're still on quite a bit of medication at this point, just weaning ourselves off because the pain was still pretty bad, and obviously the diet's super low as well. So anyone that's competed will know that it's the harder of the tail end of it all. So you're just trying to get through it. And my energy levels at this point in time are quite low, so I was quite glad to have Jared there push me through this week of training and make sure I have the intensity and keep it going, because it's quite easy to sit there and miss the time with your reps and in the intensity of it. Like, you'll bang it out your 12 of course, but are you gonna follow the rest time and go straight back into the next one? Probably not. If you do, you're pretty locked in, but at this point in time, I was just trying to get momentum back because I lost it. Sitting around for 3 days really took the wind out of my sails, and because of lack of knowledge and everything like that, I thought this was kind of it for me. I was kind of at my wit's end. I was like, well, I've done a really good job and I've come pretty far. I've lost 70 kilos, which to date weighed myself. So we're 72 kilos now, so which is really impressive, and it's an achievement in itself, I know, but in my head I had a different game plan and kind of just threw a spanner in the works. But it just goes to show you, in life, you're gonna constantly get hit with obstacles. You just got to sidestep and keep pushing forward and just adjust. And this is a perfect example of what you got to do when get thrown a curveball. Don't catch it with your left hand.
Yeah, my favourite saying is adapt to overcome. So learning to just be able to pivot, because life isn't always linear. So that's the biggest thing that prep will teach you, is that typically everyone that goes through a prep, something always dramatic happens. So whether it's financial, relationship, financial, career, injury, something's going to kick in. So you've got to be able to pivot pretty fast. Yeah. But that's where it pays dividends to have support in your corner, have a coach that knows what he's doing, and be able to move you in those lives. Now, as you can see here, we've transferred into a cuffed cable fly. So obviously with the bench previous setup, we were already targeting the upper clavicle range. Whereas here we're going to be coming from more of a downward angle, all right, and that's going to really target more like a front raise to the delt, but also target into that upper pec a bit further as well. So again, like you can see, nice control the whole way through. This one's attached on the wrist, so a bit more range of motion there. But just look at the biceps there in the stretch position.
I don't know, they're quite good. We just can't wait to pump up with a bit of sodium.
Bit of carb, bit of salt.
Very flat at this stage. What's the other movement that we did when we was like rear delts? Because I don't think I got that footage in there.
No, we started with the rear cuffed cable fly.
Yep.
Targeting the rear delt. So we used the cuff, similar to how we have the cuffs at the moment, but the attachment was on the inside of the hand. And the cables were set up on a level of, like, I think for your height was around about 26 on these cables, like the height, which was like level to shoulder height. And all we did was we just had a cross hand, so your hands were meeting in the middle, and you'll just do an extension back, so opening up that chest, contracting from the rear delt, and scap retraction work.
I have to say the superset from the underhand into biceps was quite good. My arms were burning at this point.
That's it. So again, like I said, it's about intensity, not about the weights. The weights here are pretty light. I think we've got like 7.5 kilos on the cable here.
Yep.
Not to...
not to shame me. Yeah, it's all right. It's all right.
Not to tell the public, but as you can see in like that lower cable attachment, right, it's easier for us to do that as part of this variation. Because the cable's already set up, so he's just going to step straight into the cable dual curl is what it's called. And as well, when he does that lower fly, he's actually able to keep tension on the bicep. So as he goes into that bicep movement, the tension's already been applied, so that bicep has a bit of pre-fatigue prior to that movement. So hence we don't need a great deal of weight needed. So that way he can also keep his hand well supported. Otherwise, if it gets too heavy, he's going to start to see his hands curling and things start to shift to make it a lot easier. Now this video here is day 2.
Yes.
No, day 3.
Day 3, yes.
So day 1, which was Monday, which is the video we were just talking about, you would have seen that James was doing his chest, shoulder, and arm day. Day 2 was a back day, so similar, we just used cuffs. And then day 3 here, we did leg day.
This was a savage pump this day. I know it was light, but it just one exercise to the next. No break.
That's it. So, because this one was like legs, we were able to kind of stick to the same program. So we ran a program 6, 12, 25. So you'll see James conduct 6 reps of heavy, compound being a full hack. That way, what you typically find is in depleted clientele, especially in comp prep, doing like one heavy set amongst the program just enables us to maintain the muscle mass and upregulates that side of things. And then we utilize the other metrics as a form of intensity-based work, which upregulates the metabolic pathway. Now, in this one, you can see it's a control negative, so loading up like an elastic spring, not using elastic energy, and then driving through there. So the tension on that muscle, so again, TUT, yes, it's 6 reps, but the time under the tension still falls into that 45 to 60 second bracket. So yeah, that way, every movement we're doing, we're still initiating that same sort of tension rate. So that tension rate doesn't drop off.
And definitely felt it, especially the tail end of this clip that you'll see moving forward. Because this lined me up for, your front and back with the quads and the hamstrings. I'll tell you what, 25 reps, wasn't it? So we do this 3 rounds as well. And it gave me everything. Everything was left put on that last leg extension, I tell you what.
Yes, this one we've got the hyperextension. He's deducting 3 second negatives with the 12 rep total. And yeah, I remember James would dream about hamstrings when he used to watch mine perform like this, and now he's got his own. So
yeah, I got my own set. Let's go.
He goes, would mine ever look like that? And I said, follow the program. And here we are.
Yeah, I was quite big when I started doing mine. You couldn't see anything. Just nothing but a fat leg.
I still remember you're like, where are they?
Yeah, I know. I was like, I got nothing. Remember when I got my first one kind of popping out? I was like, look at that. Look at my hamstring. You're like, yes, okay.
Now look at it. So it's a testament to you. So yeah, this is just the hyperextensions. Now because obviously James has his hand bunged, to apply resistance bands over the top and then or a kettlebell, dumbbell, barbell, it's just too hard on his hand. So James had my pressure being applied. So again, I was working off him. So at the start, driving a lot of pressure down on him. As he got fatigued, I just kept that constant tension on his back. But as well, you'd see that my hand was actually on his thoracic area of the spine, not up near his neck. So that way he could actually focus on driving through the hip, because that's what we're focused on, is hip extension movement to drive more through the glute and hamstring. And once he's done that 12, we're straight into here, which is a seated leg curl. All right, and this is 25 reps.
This is near the end of the 25 reps. I was struggling. Yeah, your legs start to burn real quickly, especially after no break. the only break you get is walking to the equipment. And it adds up real quick, especially being depleted. And I was giving everything I had. And I love it. I love it. The burn's good. It knows it's where I need to be. But pulling some funny faces, that's for sure. Trying to get it done.
And then we're straight away into the leg extension for another 25 reps as the finisher for this class of sets. Or should I say a giant set, really?
Yeah, massive set, really.
Giant set is what we're working on here. So in this movement, like as you can see, James hold on to the handles, focus on keeping the bum down. What happens is when you fatigue, you want to lift your bum out and you want to get rid of your hands. But that just shortens the range out in the quad. We want to get maximal stretch so it hits into that upper thigh, that TFL. And here we are, we're pushing through that finisher.
Yep. And getting towards the end of the clip. Apologise for the voiceover. We just didn't have any mics. We didn't mic up. Or as you can see, we didn't film every day either. But I thought you guys want to see what's going on. And thanks for following the journey. Don't forget to subscribe and drop a like.
See you guys.
Discouraged.